It's official, right? GPT 5.6 just dropped. OpenAI put it out on July 9th, so that's only a couple days after Anthropic released Fable 5 Access. So, this is basically capitalism at its finest. There's two companies trying to one up each other in real time, and we just get to sit here and just watch it happen and have our rate limits reset, right? It's already happened, like, well, didn't happen for Fable. Actually, it did. It happened once after they released Fable, and they extended it twice. So they extended another 2 weeks. But for ChatGPT, I think since they released, they've reset it like 5 times usage limit. So, okay. I mean, we take those, right? If you don't know me, nice to meet you. I plan on releasing a couple of public projects very, very soon. Pretty big SaaS projects as a solo developer. And, AI basically does all of my engineering. So, what could go wrong, right? Uh, yeah, so I run both of these models every single day, and I get to see like what actually happens in real time. So this isn't really like a benchmark screenshot video. This is actually kind of what I've seen from running both of them side to side on real work. Uh, but yeah, both companies dropped a new lineup of models, and I'll kind of pull them up here. So Fable 5, Sonnet 5, right? And then GPT released 3 models. So 5.6, Sol, Luna, and Terra. Then I'll tell you which ones you actually would want building day to day. And I'm not going to bring up any of the other models. Like I know there are some Chinese models. There's GLM, other things like that. It gets confusing real fast. So most of you watching are probably going to be choosing between these two anyways. But yeah. Okay, so here's where things actually stand. Fable's API access got extended again, so it's included for free up to half of your weekly limit on paid plan. And that's going to be now through July 19th. GPT 5.6 was just kind of built into your existing ChatGPT plan. Sol's the flagship, kind of like Opus. Terra is going to be the cheaper one that's still competitive with the old 5.5. Luna is the fastest and cheapest one. So same idea as Fable, Sonnet, and Haiku on the Anthropic side. It's just basically renamed. And Opus 4.8, Anthropic's previous flagship, is still around. So now it's just a tier below Fable. I'll come back to that in a second. Benchmarks aside, what do you actually use for when you're building? So if it's something creative and open-ended, a game or something with a weird interactive site where you just kind of want to see what the model comes up with, 100% go with Fable. I think almost every side-by-side I've seen, including my own experience, Fable's output on that kind of thing is just better. It's more thoughtful. It costs more and it's slower, but for creative work, usually it wins out. If you're adding a feature to something that's already built, or you're kind of on a budget and just need something done fast, it's a little bit more Sol or Terra territory. Just because Codex, again, is very, very efficient with tokens, right? Just watch it, because sometimes Codex can actually rabbit hole trying to fix things that you never asked it to fix or was never broken, especially on a code base that already is kind of built out. Especially if you're vibe coding things, right, like I am, it's going to find a lot of things. And if you're just messing around, so quick scripts, small stuff, you generally don't need an expensive model. So Terra, Luna, even Haiku, even though most times, because I have the plans, I don't really use Haiku like that. Okay, so if you just want the cheat sheet version, I have it up on the screen now. Forget everything I just said about depending on your project, right? If I had to rank all of these together, and this is just my own read of it, it's not some official ranking. Top tier is obviously Fable and Sol Ultra. Medium is Opus 4.8 / Terra. And then cheap is Sonnet 5 and Haiku, or OpenAI's Luna. Now, here's the thing. If you're just starting out with vibe coding, you don't really need to go crazy on the model that you pick. You don't need the top tier thing to learn this kind of stuff. So let's actually look at the prices, because this part's kind of fun. Both companies actually have the same tier structure. Anthropic has like a $20 tier, and then $100 gets you 5 times usage limits. 200 gets you 20 times. OpenAI is basically the same thing. Now, in regards to token efficiency and quota burn, this is actually my honest take now. This is more of a rant than a fact at this point. It's just what I've noticed running these two side by side, right? Codex is way more token efficient. It gets more done per dollar, period. I've burned 25% of Fable 5's usage in a couple hours of work. I just left it alone. There's also something else I've noticed with Codex, and I've mentioned this before, but if you leave it running on its own, it can definitely rabbit hole. It'll dig up into stuff that it didn't really need to touch, especially if you point it towards an app that's already built. Fable is actually the opposite problem in a good way. If you and I were just talking one-on-one, Fable's way better at actually understanding what I mean. So reading intent, scaffolding something out of a vague idea. ChatGPT is better at the reverse. Like, it's actually good at finding issues in code and something that's already written. And that's honestly what I use it for. So for my real workflow, I use both. Okay. I've got my own setup where Claude can actually open up and run Codex itself, and they end up checking each other's work instead of trusting whichever I asked first. So bottom line is, if you're kind of new to this and you're not even sure if you'll stick with it, just pick one, either $20 plan for whatever vendor, and go build something first. You don't really need to spend more than that to learn this, but if you're at the point where you're considering the $200 tier on one vendor, I would probably split it instead. I would go 100 100. 100 bucks on Claude, 100 bucks on Chat. Same total money. Both models are top tier, and they can actually catch each other's mistakes instead of, you just blind trusting whichever one you asked first. Which one are you guys actually running right now? Are you guys running Claude, Codex, or both? Are you building it with something specific? Feel free to drop that information below. I'm very curious to hear and read what other people are doing. And also, hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that like button. Hey, whichever direction it is.